What if I told you that debt isn't what you think it is? What if it's a story, a myth, told to keep you in a safe, predictable little box? Think about it. Some people owe banks millions, even billions, and they sleep like a baby. Others can't sleep because they're terrified of a small loan for a refrigerator. What's the real difference between them? It's not the amount of money, it's a single rule. A rule the wealthy teach their children from day one, but is mysteriously absent from every school and university. You were taught to fear debt, to see it as a moral failing. Meanwhile, the people you were taught to admire were using it. They used it as the number one tool to build fortunes you can't even imagine. My name is Austin, and today I'm drawing a line in the sand. The line that separates a debt trap from true financial freedom. Watch this until the end, and you'll learn how to turn debt from your biggest fear into your most powerful wealth building weapon. Let's picture an ordinary person. We'll call him Mark. Mark is a good guy. He works hard, pays his taxes, tries to save a little. And Mark has one core belief burned into his mind since childhood. Debt is evil. Credit is a cage. He remembers his parents, stressed, making payments on appliances. He remembers the hushed, anxious talks when a paycheck was late. Those memories forged a brand in his mind. Debt equals stress, humiliation, and poverty. So Mark is terrified of banks. To him, getting a loan feels like admitting failure. He saves for years for a used car, denying himself everything. He could have bought it on credit and made his life easier today. He dreams of his own apartment, but the thought of a 20-year mortgage makes him sick. He's convinced it's better to rent forever than be a slave to the bank. Mark thinks he's being smart, responsible, and safe. He's following the mantra 99% of people live by. Work hard, save your money, and never, ever go into debt. Sound familiar? But here's the paradox Mark doesn't see. This safe strategy is the very trap that guarantees he'll never escape the rat race. Are you playing to win, or are you just playing not to lose? His fear of debt isn't a shield, it's an invisible cage. He thinks he's avoiding risk, but he's actually rejecting opportunity. The system is funny, isn't it? We are constantly warned about bad debts, but no one talks about good ones. And while Mark is afraid, others who know the rules of the game are using that exact same tool to buy assets, build businesses, and create freedom. Maybe the advice to avoid all debt is just the best way to keep most people stuck. I've been in the financial markets for over 7 years. I've made expensive mistakes, but I learned to tell the difference between mistakes that sink you and mistakes that make you stronger. Here's the most important lesson I've ever learned. Most people fail because they lump all debt into one single category. They hear the word debt and they picture chains. That's like saying all fire is bad, forgetting it can heat your home and cook your food. Debt is a tool. It can build or it can destroy. It all depends on whose hands it's in. There are two completely different worlds of debt. Until you see the massive gap between them, you are doomed to struggle. The first world is bad debt. This is debt for liabilities. What's a liability? Anything that takes money out of your pocket. It's debt you take on for consumption. Think about it. A new iPhone on an installment plan. The second you walk out of the store, it loses 20% of its value. But you pay the full price plus interest for the next 2 years. An expensive car on credit is the classic example. On top of the loan, you're paying for insurance, maintenance, gas. A new car is a giant money vacuum, and its value drops with every mile. A vacation on credit. You get 2 weeks of fun for 2 years of payment. You're literally paying for the past with your future. Bad debt is an attempt to look richer than you are. It's chasing instant gratification by sacrificing your future freedom. This is the debt our friend Mark is right to be afraid of. It truly leads to a financial pit. But then there's the second world, the one where the wealthy operate. The world of good debt. This is debt for assets. And what's an asset? Simple. Anything that puts money into your pocket. And this changes the entire universe. Here, debt is not an expense, it's an investment. You are told to pay for your future. Good debt has your future pay you. Imagine taking a loan, not for a new car, but for a small garage in a busy area to rent out. Every month, the rent doesn't just cover your loan payment, it leaves you a small profit. Imagine you take a loan, not for a vacation, but to buy inventory for your online store. You sell the products, pay back the loan with interest, and keep the profit. Imagine getting a mortgage for a small studio apartment. Your mortgage payment is $1,500 a month, but you rent it out for $2,000. Every single month, $500 of pure passive income lands in your account. Feel the difference. One loan drains your money. The other brings you more. One makes you poorer, the other richer. This is the secret that's been hiding in plain sight. The rich aren't afraid of debt. They are terrified of bad debt. And they actively use good debt to buy cash flowing assets. They realized you don't need to use your own money to become truly wealthy. So how do we make this real? It's not enough to know the theory. You need to understand the mechanics, the math. This is the financial leverage playbook. Let's use a real example. No complex jargon. Imagine you want to buy a small studio to rent out for $250,000. You've saved up $50,000. Scenario 1. Max path, no debt. You decide to save the other $200,000. Even if you save $1,500 a month, a heroic effort, it will take you over 11 years. And in those 11 years, that apartment will likely get more expensive. You're always chasing. Scenario 2. The investor's path, good debt. You use your $50,000 as a 20% down payment. You get a mortgage for the other $200,000. Let's say at 6% interest for 30 years. Now let's do the math. These numbers are just an example. Your monthly mortgage payment will be around $1,200. You find a tenant and rent the studio out for, say, $1,700 a month. Now for the beautiful part. Net cash flow equals rental income minus mortgage payment. $1,700 minus $1,200 equals $500 per month. Stop. Do you see what just happened? The bank's money is now making you money. Your $1 just hired $4 other dollars to work for you. Of course, you have taxes, insurance, and maintenance. So the real profit is a bit less. But even so, every month, money appears in your pocket, passively. The magic isn't just the few $100s. The magic is this. 1. You're earning income using $200,000 of someone else's money. 2. You own a $250,000 asset, but you only paid $50,000 for it. Your tenant is buying the asset for you. 3. Inflation becomes your best friend. Your debt is fixed, but rent and the property's value will likely rise. In scenario 1, you spend 11 years sacrificing. In scenario 2, you almost immediately start earning passive income and own a major asset. Once you grasp this, your brain fundamentally changes. You start to understand that your personal resources, time, and money are finite. Growing with only your own cash is the slowest path possible. The most accessible lever for building real wealth is other people's money. And look, the ultimate goal isn't just about saving better. For most, the path to freedom isn't cutting lattes. It's about massively increasing your income so you have more capital to invest. I spent years in the markets learning how to generate income streams that dwarf a regular salary. I share the specific strategies, the how-to, in my private Telegram channel. It's for people ready to build real wealth. You can find it at Austin on Fin. Now, back to the playbook. How do you get the bank on your side? When you ask for a loan on an asset, you're not a beggar. You're a partner with a business plan. Prepare a simple, powerful proposal. First, the asset analysis. Forget I like the neighborhood. You need cold, hard data. What is the rental market like? How quickly do similar places rent out? What's the infrastructure? Is it near transit, shops, parks? This drives demand. Second, the profit calculation, ROI. Calculate the return on your invested capital. In our example, a $500 monthly cash flow is $6,000 a year. You invested $50,000 of your own cash. Your cash-on-cash return is 12%. $6,000 divided by $50,000. Compare that to a savings account that barely beats inflation. The logic is undeniable. Third, the bank meeting. You do not say, please give me a mortgage. You say, I have found an investment property with a projected 12% cash-on-cash return. Here are my calculations. The rental income covers the mortgage and expenses. This asset pays for itself. I have stable income, a good credit history, and I am offering you the chance to finance this deal. This completely changes the conversation. You have proven you understand and have calculated the risk. The bank wants clients like you. Right now, your brain is probably screaming, but what if? This is good. This is the alarm bell. But investors do not ignore the alarm. They have a pre-written response for every single warning. But what if the tenants leave and I have no income? That's why you have a safety fund. Before you start, you must have 3 to 6 months of mortgage payments saved in a separate account. If the apartment is empty for a month, you do not panic. You pay the mortgage from your fund and find a new tenant. But what if real estate prices crash? This is a speculator's fear, not an investor's. An investor buys for cash flow. If your asset is putting money in your pocket every month, you do not care about short-term price swings. You are not planning to sell tomorrow. Your focus is the cash flow. It lets you ride out any storm. But what if I lose my job and cannot pay? First, see the point about the safety fund. Second, the entire point of this strategy is to build other sources of income, so you are no longer dependent on one job. This asset is your first step toward that freedom. The biggest risk is not your investment failing. It's trading 40 years of your life for a salary, hoping it's enough. But what if interest rates go up? This is why you lock in a fixed rate mortgage. It guarantees your payment stays the same for the life of the loan. Reading the fine print of a loan agreement isn't boring. It's a core investor skill. So what's the conclusion? Debt is not good or evil. It's an amplifier. In the hands of a consumer, it amplifies their spending, pulling them down. But in the hands of an investor who knows an asset from a liability, it amplifies the power, letting them build a real fortune. Let's go back to Mark. Picture him in 20 years. One version of Mark, who feared debt his whole life, is still at a job he does not love. He probably owes no one, but secretly feels like life has passed him by. He is safe, but he is not free. Now picture the other Mark, the one who, 20 years ago, took a calculated risk. He learned the rules and bought that first small rental property. Over the years, his tenants paid off his mortgage. That cash flow allowed him to buy a second property, then a third. Today, this Mark owns assets that cover all his family expenses. He can choose to work or not to work. He is free. In 20 years, will you own your time or will a job still own it for you? This is not something they teach you in school. Schools are designed to create good employees, not savvy investors. If you're ready to start your journey and make money work for you, like this video and subscribe to the channel so more people see this message. But real change requires more than one video. It requires changing the information you consume daily. For practical steps and strategies on building real, life-changing income, not just saving, join my free Telegram community. It is at Austin on Fin. The most